Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vintage Booth Pro. My name is Crystal, and this channel exists to help other people in the vintage booth world learn about what's selling in other malls and other booths in their area. And one thing that I like to do every month is ask my Facebook community, which, if you haven't joined, head over to Facebook and join. We're a great community. I post every day what I sell, and then a lot of other people do as well. So very educational, very helpful. We have over 20,000 people. So it's becoming a massive group, which is fun. We get a lot of different opinions and a lot of feedback. So it's a great group. I invite you to join. But every month I ask people to share what they sold over $50 because our goal is to make more money. And, when you see these items, if if you're outsourcing, it might make you remember, hey, I should pick this up because somebody sold this for big bucks. So I am going to go through it. And I asked people to share how much they bought it for, where they found it, what they sold it for, and their booth location. Not everyone likes to share all those details, which I completely understand. So I'm just going to read what they send me. So, first one up, here's one, the Fenton Cranberry Lamp sold for $79. I would have priced it higher, but the bottom was stripped, so I could not replace the bottom bulb. It would not unscrew. It's beautiful anyways, and that is a great sell. This 1951 Hummel Nativity, 13 pieces, found at a high bid auction site, bought for $155. Get this though, sold for $585. They are booth number 96 in the Medina Antique Mall in Medina, Ohio. Oh, one thing I asked to do is if you have a fun story, tell me about it. So their story is put in my booth on a Friday, also listed on Facebook Marketplace, and it sold the next day. Congratulations. That is awesome. So this wooden coffee table sold for $49.99 from the brother-in-law's estate at Smith and Company Vintage Market, Marietta, Ohio. Sold the 10 ceiling wall art for $59. It is mounted in an old window of real life, worn and chippy wood. Best part, my cost was $0 as we found it in our barn left by former owners of our property. It was a very cool piece. I'm in Northwest Georgia. That's awesome. And free is always best. Okay, this Fenton Temple jar called Down by the Station sold for $79.99, inherited from a great aunt's estate. Smith Company at Vintage Market, Marietta, Ohio. Not a great picture. Purchased this vintage surveyor stick at my local Goodwill. Came straight out of the go out cart with permission from the worker. Paid $6.98, researched and put $125 on it and took to my small booth at Oak and Honey Vintage in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. It's only been there a month or less, got an offer of $75, countered at $100, and sold, headed to West Virginia. So it was one very long picture, so I kind of had to cut it in a couple of different pictures. Okay, next, this awesome chandelier. Paid $20 at a yard sale and sold it for $75 in booth 326 at the 22nd Street Antique Mall in Tucson, Arizona. So yard sale season is back and I am so happy. So I don't have the picture anymore. It was a pair of Grandma Moses prints. I bought for $3.50 each and I sold them for a total of $50. So I just found a Grandma Moses print and put it on here so you can kind of get an idea of what that artist work looks like. So that's a pretty big sale there. That's awesome. Bought this painting at an estate sale for $25, sold it for $125 at my new booth at Vintage Roost in Tampa, Florida. My first official market there is this weekend. They allowed an out-of-town tourist shop this past weekend since they wouldn't be in town this weekend. So that's kind of cool. An awesome sale. This one makes a lot of sense. Framed Maker's Mark art of Louisville skyline with special drip wax effect matte. $75 for my personal collection at booth number 614, San Lorenzo in Consignments Plus, Louisville, Kentucky. So I know that Maker's Mark is a big deal in Louisville, and the Kentucky Derby coming up. I would love to go there sometime. Okay, cute 1930s glass front cabinet sold for $270. Purchased for $55 from an estate sale that was a complete time capsule. Oh, I love those. There was nothing modern in the home at all. I searched the owner's name and found that she had died in 1967. Somehow her estate was never liquidated until 2024. Her own children were born in 1919 and the 1920s. Her name was Esther, and I kept her flower scoop, a vase, and some other kitchen items for my own home. My business is Levity Vintage at Bedford Street Antiques in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I love that. Okay, sold multiple items over $50. Included were an antique roll top desk picked up for $0 at a house scheduled for demolition and sold it 3 weeks later for $145 as is. It was in good working order with character. The buyer also purchased the desk chair separately. We also sold a star thread metal cabinet for $125 from my personal collection, so paid $25 a long time ago. It went to a new customer reworking her craft space with vintage items. Also, we sold an 8-gallon crock with a mended crack for $75. All in all, we had a pretty good month at Pickers Antiques in Clifton, Texas. Thank you for sharing. This amazing moon/mirror shelf is one of a couple favorites sold this past month. I found it when I did a Facebook Marketplace pickup for display shelves for my booth. An amazing man was cleaning at his mother's place and let me shop around the home. I saw this beautiful piece hanging behind the basement bar. He sold it to me for $5 and I sold it in my booth for $90. This is my first ever booth, which opened March 8th, and my first month was amazing to say the least. I worked in retail for 18 years, and I have sold online vintage from 1950s and 80s era for 2.5 years now with a large following. An eclectic mix of fun items that I personally adore. I decided it was time to open a booth, and I'm so glad I did. I'm in Mr. Darby's in Boardman, Ohio, booth 80. That is awesome, and I've come to find that finding things that I personally like sell faster in my booth. So that's a great tip. This antique wagon seat we found at a store closing in Sweetwater, Tennessee. Bought it for $40 and sold for $100. Our booth is called In Every Season, located inside United Estate and Antiques, Cleveland, Tennessee. We opened our booth in November 24 and moved to a larger booth the next month. The lady who bought the bench drove miles after seeing it posted on Facebook Marketplace. She was mainly interested in the cast iron hardware. Pretty cool. Found this beautiful vintage frame needlepoint cat at a thrift store for $7. Sold for $55 to someone whose friend had a tuxedo cat. My booth is at Blue Moon Antique Mall in Pensacola, Florida. That's so sweet. Painting by Ruth Vamos, found at a local thrift store for $5 and sold for $75 at the Vintage Marketplace Company in North Aurora, Illinois. So they also did not include a picture, so this is what that artist paints like. I went to purchase a gold mirror on Marketplace, and the seller had this set ready to get donated/tossed. I offered $10 and he was happy to sell it to me. Pieces were hand-carved, likely vintage Japan, circa 50s, 60s. It sold within an hour of being in my booth for $195. Sold at Vintage Oasis in Omaha, Nebraska, one of my favorite pieces and flips. I agree with that. That is awesome. I sold this Haywood Wakefield Ashcraft coffee table for $220. I bought it at an estate sale for $50. Also sold this sofa table for $145. Got it at an auction for $1. My booth is the Merry Mule at the Leavenworth Antique Mall in Leavenworth, Kansas. The white armoire sold for $125. Got it for free on Facebook Marketplace. So a common theme is Facebook Marketplace. If you're not already looking there, you should be. I bought these myself a few years ago on an auction site. I didn't pay much for them. I fit in them literally one day, then outgrew them. I love them so much, I hung on to them until March 1st. I decided to put $250 on them at my booth, and they sold within 24 hours for full price. Funny thing is that I found another pair since then, a bigger size for me to keep for sure this time, and I still can't fit into them. I understand. Just keep shopping, you'll find it. Oh, this is beautiful. This MCM Henry Goodman dresser bought for $50 on Facebook Marketplace, sold for $510 at the Vintage Marketplace Company in North Aurora, Illinois. We have a storefront in Oswego, Illinois as well, Happenstance Goods. That's beautiful. So I placed these in my booth and they sold the next day. Sold for $68. Purchased for $12 at a local flea market. My booth is located in Sunnyvale, Texas, East Fork Mall. 2 items sold in March over $50. The brass swans, bought for $25 and sold for $59. And a green chalk painted plant stand bought for $10 and painted and sold for $50. I'm located at Brass Lantern Antiques in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. I sold this butterfly lamp for $60. My sister-in-law gave it to me for free. My booth is located in Texarkana, Texas. In the 80s, we bought these. She bought the butterfly and I bought a turtle. I have yet to find my turtle, but I will sell it if I do. I hope you find it, but I do love that lamp. Okay, this vintage hobby horse bought up for $20 on Facebook Marketplace, sold for $65 at East Fork Mall, Texas, Hucklebee's Vintage. That's super cute. And okay, so this vendor has a lot, so just hang tight and I'll go through each one. This dining room table and chair sold for $785. This piece sold for $140. The set sold for $200, and this piece sold for $99, all from one vendor. Can you imagine selling all that in 1 month? I truly could not. Okay, next piece. I purchased this pine cupboard from a Facebook Marketplace ad for $20 and sold it for $94, on sale from $125. Vendor BC at the Colorado Antique Gallery. I put it in my booth when I opened in February 2024, moved it around a few times, decided to put an ad for it on Facebook Marketplace as one last try before I took it out, and it sold that day. That's awesome. This is a Fire King Jadeite cigarette box with a floral design on the lid. I found it at Savers for $4.99. I had it listed on eBay for almost a year, then moved it to my booth. Mechanical Magpie in space K6 at America's Antique Mall, Algonquin, in Algonquin, Illinois, where it sold in less than 2 months for $60. I love stories like that where something sells in person faster than it does online. 2 of these metal screen doors, $150 each. Down on the Farm, Antiques and Collectibles. Same vendor, cast iron legged workbench sold for $850. And same vendor, this set sold for $560. The drawers had a beautiful liner. And this beautiful buffet was painted in woodlands with a walnut stained top. Drawers are lined, sold for $345. I bought this MCM coffee table with amazing teal boomerang formica at a yard sale for $5. The legs had been painted 3 layers of different colors. I stripped the legs, put it in my booth at Pipe Creek Mercantile in Peru, Indiana. I sold it the same day for $125. So definitely worth a little bit of elbow grease there. Purchased at a private estate pick for $15, sold for $55 at Paramount Antique Mall in Wichita, Kansas. The Vintage Bungalow. That is an awesome lamp. I love that. Pair of cowboy statues purchased for $20 at a private estate pick, sold for $80 at Paramount Antique Mall in Wichita, Kansas. Booth name The Vintage Bungalow. This set of deer statues purchased at a private estate pick for $40, sold for $106 in my booth, The Vintage Bungalow, at Paramount Antique Mall. How do you get those invitations to private estate picks? I need some of those. Original vintage painting purchased at a private estate pick for $20, sold for $72.25 in booth, The Vintage Bungalow at Paramount Antique Mall in Wichita, Kansas. Okay, so this is our last vendor, and I have literally saved the best for last because This is a story. I'm Gilded Coyote and Town Peddler in Livonia, Michigan, and this beautiful, absolutely cursed baboon full body taxidermy mount sold for $1,300. He was part of an estate I acquired from a late director and conservatorship of SCI, Safari Club International, and one of the few pieces left that was still around that I didn't keep for myself. This was one of the first items we put in our space when we opened in April last year, and he sold this March. He became Gilded Coyote's unofficial mascot, and he will be missed. We also sold a couple of other high dollar items, and let me pause there and give you another view of this beautiful baboon that sold for $1,300. And a Blesbok shoulder mount for $350, a fallow deer shoulder mount that sold 5 minutes after I put it up. I didn't even get a pic of it installed before he was off forever for $425. So March was a great month for taxidermy. I think so. And that is one of her lovely employees at the shop modeling the giraffe leg bone. And finally, this is a boar skull sold for $100 in March. It was a crazy month. So, yeah, absolutely. I think so. That would make my year, I think, if I sold that much. Congratulations to everyone, and thank you, everyone, for sharing. Now, if you want to be included in next month's spotlight video where I can call out your booth and give you a little bit of advertising and just we all like to share what we sold and even what we found. This group is the group you want to be in because we are so excited for everyone's success and just we're always learning. So as long as you're all willing to learn and willing to help others grow, then you will be in the right spot. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.